coffee in the morning. I don't know.
Non-apologetic
Nonsense.
As you can see, for the second week in a row, I am rolling solo. Now, we do have some unfortunate news on that. My co-host did not make it. That is right. I heard from everyone today. I had to leave the hospital early, but he did pass. Now, like I say, I was there earlier today. He was in good spirit, but he kind of knew that was that. When I got the phone call saying he passed, they did tell me what his final words were, and we have them right here, right now.
I couldn't die. I got court tomorrow.
Well, good buddy, looks like you will not be making it to court, at least not this time.
I'm out.
Yes, you are out. Now, we are very saddened, of course. Lifelong friend and all. Making funeral arrangements they are. Now, I wonder, if it's like a lifelong close friend, what do you wear to the funeral, right? Do you go like full suit, or do you just do a button down, or do you go like full Slipknot tees and masks like he would have wanted, you know? Gonna have to figure that out. Sad thing, but everything moves on, and so shall we. See, this week, that took up a lot of my time. Took up about 30 minutes to an hour of my time today. Oh, I know, we were talking about the oil infusions, right? The herbal infusions. So we did an episode on this. I bought a Levo 2, right? So it's an all-in-one machine. It'll decarb your herb, then do the infusion all within the same compartment. And then it has a dispenser like a soda machine or whatnot. But it keeps everything separated so there's no straining. So I had done my first batch of infused coconut oil. So I winded up putting, doing the math top to bottom, and then my cup and a half of coconut oil winded up being 1,630 milligrams or 1,650, right in there somewhere. So I thought it was time to do some gummies, right? Figure first thing we do is gummies. Now, since then, we've done a couple things. Honey, we got a lot of cool stuff, but starting with the gummies. So I've never made sweets, right? So I bought the foolproof, idiot-proof one from the same company, Levo, who makes the infuser. It's expensive, though. It was like, the mix was like $20, and it makes 64 gummies. Okay, so once again, I did the math top to bottom. I knew if I put in the amount that's supposed to be in the recipe with my infused coconut oil, exactly how many milligrams would be in each. So, like I say, I paid extra for the bag, and I thought, well, this will at least show me how to do it, and then afterwards I can sort of grab my own gelatins I want, figure out the mix, do things a little differently. But I wanted to make sure the first one could not be messed up, so I bought the foolproof bag. As it turns out, the bag was not foolproof, and I completely messed it up from top to the bottom. It was an absolute nightmare. So my plan was to make some small dose ones. So it'd be 64 that are 5.25 milligrams per, as long as each of those 64 were 3 milliliters. So I bought 3 milliliter, the silicone gummy trays. So I look at the recipe on the back, and it's made for herb infusions. It's not just like Walmart gummy mix. So the directions are just basically put the gummy mix in with X amount of water, bring it to a boil for 7 minutes, take it off the heat, then put your infused coconut oil in there, right? And I thought, should I watch like a YouTube video or something to like familiarize myself with it? And I thought, I'm not retarded, it's gummies. We can do this. Yeah, I was wrong. So it says to bring it up to a boil. So I just pretty much maxed out the stove, mixed the water in with the gummy mix, and, I had known enough. red enough rather, that I knew it would burn if anything was allowed to lay on the bottom or the side. So I got my little whisk and my little silicone icing looking tool. Keeping it stirred up, 7 minutes go by. I take it off the heat and I bring it to a different burner. That's when I bring in the infused oil. And everything that was measured on this recipe, it was like teaspoons or tablespoons. I actually brought out a little scale and weighed everything instead of just using a scooper. Because like I say, I wanted exact measurements and to see if I could have consistency. If gummy number 1 was plus minus a milligram or two, but right at that 5.25, and so was gummy number 64. I knew I would know I had the pattern down, right? So I take it off of the heat. I bring in the infused oil, right? Throw it in. The oil, of course, starts to melt out, but instantly it separates from the mix. Like it just runs to the side of the pan. So I'm like, oh, well, hell. And the directions said to leave it off the heat, stir it for 4 minutes or whatever, and then go ahead and start bringing it into your molds. When you bring it into the molds, you have these little sort of like giant eyedroppers, but that way I could also know I was getting the exact same in each of them, but I knew I had to act quick once I took it off the heat because the mix would start to set and then it wouldn't go into the molds. So like I say, I'm off of the burner and I'm stirring and nothing's happening. When I bring the oil in, the oil is sitting on top of the gummy mix. It is just separated. And I know the first thing I've been asking for advice, people say, is I should have used a binder. What do you call it? A binder. It's called like lecithin or leech thin. But that was in the gummy mix. Like I say, it was supposed to be foolproof. So I'm stirring and stirring, and it's starting to thicken up, and I know I'm not going to be able to get it into the molds. And I knew instantly something was wrong. So I bring it back on the heat to, lower the temp and brought it back up a little bit to where I could keep trying to mix. I must have mixed that thing for 12 minutes. I wasn't 1 iota closer to having the infused cannabis oil mixed with the gummy mix. So I thought, well, here's a Hail Mary. It's thickening up even on the heat. It's turning into like a tar. So I was like, I'm just going to pour it over the molds. I get what I get. I know it's not going to be consistent, whatever. I tried that. That was a nightmare. I think I have a photo. If so, we'll throw it up. So I winded up just scraping everything out of the pan, throwing it away. I threw the pan away because everything was just caked on it. It was an absolute train wreck and failure. And I winded up wasting... I'd have to do the math. I think around 450 or 500 milligrams out of the cup and a half, whatever it is, of the infused coconut oil. So that all went down the drain essentially. So that, not drain obviously, but into the trash. So that sucks. But I went and started asking for help, and people were saying various things, mainly that when I brought it up to a boil, I should have brought it up to a boil at a lower heat, that it was effectively probably a too much heat issue. And then it's like a forum meant for this infuser. So everyone, I'd say 8 out of every 10 people is like, yeah, you do it by hand with coconut oil, you're bound, you're just looking for trouble. One guy, though, did say he took his whisk and he put it in his battery hand drill, right? And he just, that's an idea. But this same company also makes all-in-one gummy maker, right? All-in-one meaning that it just costs extra compared to individual components. So it's a round cylinder. You put your gummy mix and your water in there, and then it runs a heat cycle, and it also stirs it and whatnot. And then, like I say, it's meant for infused gummies. It's not just a regular gummy maker. Not sure if there's a difference, but it runs its first cycle, then it stops and goes into a stir cycle, and then it tells you to add the, whatever you're adding, MCT oil that's infused, your honeys, your coconut oils. And then it finishes its job, and apparently it'll just keep it all warm and nice, and you can use your little dropper, and, it's supposed to be a perfect thing, and it's got incredibly good reviews. So I didn't think I'd have to do that, but it looks like I'm going to have to buy that gummy maker. I knew it existed beforehand, and I knew it would take all of the trouble out, but I don't know. It just seemed like something easy enough to be able to do, but I don't want to keep essentially wasting herb, right? I want to figure this out because, see, I like the low dose gummies, you know? So we were doing 65 5 milligram gummies, right? If you want more, you can take more, but you got, they're just teeny tiny little guys. So that was the dose, and that's what I like. I'm long gone has been where, I actually smoke herb and just hang around getting blowed all day. Yeah. A lot of my buddies, they like the higher dose ones. So once I figured this out, knowing that it's consistent, that's the main thing with me. I want it consistent. I don't want you eating one cookie and it being 50 milligrams and the next one being 12. I'm not interested in surprises. Not interested in a trip to the moon, But once I figure out how it actually all works, I'm going to start making those crazy gummies, and not just gummies. I've already been using the Levo for other things like honey, for example. But hell, we could play around, do infusions, into water that's, 2,000 milligrams, and then see which of my friends I can get to quench their thirst on that thing. And then I imagine they'll forget a few days. But they're the type of people, they like the high dose concentrated constantly. So, I think once I figure this out, because all I need, it was like going with the pre-done gummy mix, right? All I need is to see it done once and I can that's that, and then move on. But yeah, with the gummies, we're going to start, I think MCT oil is going to be the next thing. Because, see, before I bought this infuser, I would do like the Green Dragon, right? Which is super simple, but no one really does it because you put a lot of herb into it. And then, of course, you can't smoke that herb. But you get like some Everclear. And you just put it in a mason jar, put your herb in there. You'll pull it in and out of the fridge freezer, shake it up, but it will just kind of suck all the THC out and put it into the alcohol effectively, but you're going to need so little alcohol. It's not like taking shots of it. It's like drops, at least what I was making. And what's good about that is, like, if you got friends or anyone you're seeing who likes herb and alcohol, that's already an alcohol-based thing, so it's going to taste like alcohol. So you can make up whatever cocktail they like, little herb in it, boom. And that kind of is the goal. I think the gummies and stuff are fun, but just having a concentrated liquid that you can use in anything, that exactly, has its little gauge on it, what every milliliter would be in milligrams, Coffee in the morning. I don't know. If you're like me eating some Captain Crunch at night, it's like midnight here, and that doesn't sound too bad right now, but you got your little dropper, little droop droop. I think there's a lot of crazy stuff to be done. I don't think the Levo 2, the infuser, is going to be something that just, is cool at first and then sits on the shelf. Because, man, I am tired of buying stuff from dispensaries, right? It's just too much. All I want is a jar full of 5 milligram gummies and a jar full of 10 milligram gummies and get them at a decent price. Plus, we'll be able to play around with other things. Like, I always keep these around, these transdermal THC patches. I found a place you can get the blank patches, right? So like I say, if you have that oil, you'll be able to lay out a bunch of the blank patches, put in however many drops equal how many milligrams. This one's 15. I believe most of them are 20 to 25. But yeah, you'll be able to do your patches, like I say, your honeys, your MCT oils. You could infuse into milk, or of course just any base that you're going to bake with, right? So, gonna figure the gummies out. Even if I got to use the all-purpose gummy machine, then we're gonna do sucker. Like, it's gonna be crazy. I think it'll be fun, at least. And I got a couple people who won't mind being the guinea pigs for me. And I also have all my little testers, all the mats done from top to bottom. So I know exactly what goes in and what's coming out, all the way down to essentially each increment, whether that be cookie, gummy warm, anything else. But yeah, and it would probably be a good way to honor our dear friend. You know, he always did love the herbals. You know, and yeah, this would be a way to honor him, unless, of course, he just pops up one night and you just hear... You never know. Wouldn't that be some freaky ass shit, though? I'm trying to go to sleep tonight, and my recently deceased friend is just bothering me, just standing over my bed. And on that note, we will return, at least I will, next week. See ya.